Hey guys, this is Hydra from Xtrades back with another video, and in this video we're going to go over how to play pullback buys. So this is something that I only use on the strongest stocks, right? When I'm pullback buying, I want to be very selective, even more than normal, and I want to make sure that the stock that I'm targeting is a quality stock and a stock that has potential to make a much bigger move in the future, right? So so when I'm looking for pullback or stocks that could be good pullback opportunities, right? I'm looking for stocks that have a lot of momentum. And if you've been following my videos for a while now, you know that momentum based trading is kind of my style, right? So let's take a look at some examples like PLTR, right? This is a great momentum name. This one had a huge gap up back in November of 2024, right? Didn't really provide too many opportunities. They're pretty much just slow grinded higher and higher, right? And then over here, we started pulling back to the 10-day moving average, right? So this was a pretty small pullback, but still around 6.5%, right? Still a good pullback opportunity, right? The reason being is first, it's trailing its 10-day moving average, right? It's holding on to it. It's surfing the 10-day moving average. So that's very good sign, right? It didn't give back much of its gains at all, right? This was very strong, and it pulled back very little to how much it advanced, right? So this one went up 38% and pulled back only 6.5%. So that's pretty good. And then over here, you can see that there's like a mini flag forming, right? So if this one breaks out, it could be buyable. So this was a really good opportunity as a pullback buy. And entry would have been like this candle's high, and then the stop loss would have been that candle's low as well. So yeah, this was a really good opportunity on a strong name, right? And then here we pretty much had no pullback opportunities, right? We just rallied, and then here again, there are some pullback opportunities, right? So this would be the kind of like the first one, right? Mini flag forming. This isn't the best flag for sure, but I would draw it like this, right? You have 3 days of rejection, right? If you take out this candle's high, or this candle's high, this candle, the reason you wouldn't use this candle's high is because it would be way too wide, right? So if you bought when it breaks that candle's high and stop loss all the way here, you're risking almost like 10%, which is way too wide. So if I were to play this, I would probably use this candle, right? So buy over there, and then stop loss over here, which puts your stop loss around 5%. Much better buy, right? So basically the concept is you want to be buying stocks that have a lot of momentum, right? And they end up flagging, right? And when they end up flagging, you should see the moving averages also line up. And this is typically where they bounce off like the 10-day or 20-day, and then you usually get a nice bounce. Right, so this is basically the setup that I'm looking for. This one is a great example. This one was not as good, slightly choppier and a little bit wide here, right? But yeah, you guys get the idea. One more thing is so sometimes you won't get bounces perfectly off the moving averages, right? Sometimes you will have a pullback where you undercut the moving average and then you end up bouncing. So that's also normal. So a perfect example of that is here, right? So we undercut the 50-day, and then so basically when you're undercutting the moving average, the setup is you want to buy when that low or when that high gets taken out and place your stop loss at that low. So that would be the setup here, right? So the next day we gap up, right? So you buy around that 66 area, you're risking 4%, and then now it's up 29%, and it's actually at 103 almost after earnings. But yeah, so this is a good example of a pullback buy, right? So we undercut the moving average and then we bounce off. So that's another setup as well. Here's another one, right? So here you're forming a flag, and then here again, this is kind of like putting a shakeout candle, right? Very strong close. So it's forming a hammer, and then you're undercutting the 20-day moving average, right? And then next day when it takes out that high, that candle's high, you buy, and then yeah, you buy. But this one didn't end up working out. But again, that's part of the game, right? But that was also another good opportunity. Let's take a look at some other ones. A-Lab was another very strong name before it had that big breakdown, right? So from November again, this one was in a very strong uptrend. So right away here, huge earnings gap up, right? And then we tried to push forward, but pulled back, and then again we undercut the 10-day, and then we pretty much reversed, right? And then here we formed a very nice flag. This would be like an A+ setup, right? A 3-bar flag, you're trailing the 10-day moving average, you form an inside bar, right? And then you break out and you pretty much take off, right? So this was a really, really good setup. And then here was another one where you're pretty much undercutting the 10-day, right? You're testing it, and then you end up closing just slightly above, and then as soon as you break that previous candle's high, it's buyable again, and then this one ends up breaking out again, right? So that was a good setup. This was a good setup. And then yeah, then pretty much nothing else here for A-Lab, and then it had a big breakdown. Let's look at Reddit as well. Let me clean up my chart. Okay, so Reddit had a huge gap up, also around that November time of last year, right? And then it formed a nice flag. So this was a pullback opportunity, right? You're forming a flag, and then you break out, and then here again, pullback opportunity, this time to the 10-day moving average, right? You're kind of undercutting the 10-day, forming an inside bar, and on this candle you close just slightly above the 10-day, and then we have a huge breakout, right? The next day, or not huge, but you get a nice breakout the next day. Looks good. Yeah, so that was a good opportunity. And then here again, you're bouncing off the 10-day, right? So that's a good buy opportunity. And then here, looks like we undercut the 10-day moving average, form an inside bar, and then we break out again, right? So good short-term trading opportunity. And then this one was really good. The reason why is here we're already pulling back, right? And then on this candle, we go all the way down to 156 and then close around 164, right? So that's a huge shakeout candle. So that's a good sign. A good sign if we can break that shakeout candle's high, right? So the next day we did that, and it was buyable. And then yeah, this one ended up going up, yeah, almost 12%. So good, pretty good opportunity, right, to sell some into strength. But for a swing trade, this one ended up pulling back in slightly. But if you had your stop loss here, you wouldn't have been stopped out, right? And then this one again had a very, very nice breakout. And then here was another good pullback opportunity, right? It bounced off the 10-day, and the next day when it breaks that previous candle high, this is buyable again. So yeah, that's another good opportunity. And then again, Reddit today, or not today, based on when you're watching this, but when I upload this as well. But yeah, Reddit again, very nice bounce off the 10-day moving average, and it's forming a nice flag right now. But yeah, that's pretty much what I look for pullback buys, right? So my criteria, right, is I want strong momentum names, right? And these are typically they have to be the leaders of the market, right? So for example, A-Lab, Palantir, Reddit, they were all strong names, right? Strong names in strong sectors. And like A-Lab, Reddit were recent IPOs, so they had a lot of potential as well. So I want to focus on the leaders, focus on the strongest names. And when they're pulling back, I want to see if they form a nice flag setup like this, right, and then break out. Or I want to see some sort of like bounce off the moving average, or sometimes even undercut, and then you reverse, right? So those are like the 3 pullback setups that I look for. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching.
There's a reason why xTrades is currently the fastest growing application on the market for sharing financial ideas. With over $2.5 million paid in the last 2 years to contributors, users are flocking to see what trades the top traders on the leaderboard are sharing in real time. If you're looking to grow your reputation as a trader on the internet or discuss your trading ideas with other reputable investors, click the link below and get connected with a trading mentor today, completely free of charge.